Yes, everybody's counting out Hugh and the Auburn Tigers, but I think they've got a really solid chance on Saturday.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into this special crossover edition of Locked On Auburn and Locked On Mizzou. I'm Zach Blackerby of Locked On Auburn. He is John Miller of Locked On Mizzou. And what an interesting game we have before us this Saturday. We'll give our predictions on who wins, who has the edge. The betting line, according to our friends at FanDuel, started weird. It's getting a little less weird day by day, but the thing that has really been at top of the headlines this week is Auburn losing its RB2, Demari Austin no longer being on the roster. John, I know that's something that you've posted about a little bit on socials and talked about on Locked On Mizzou this week. I don't know how much of an impact that's going to have on Saturday's game, but that certainly is the leading topic going into it.
Yeah, and the thing is, I think that's well put, because I don't know that Auburn losing its RB2 is a massive line mover, and yet this line already has moved 3 points, and I think it should, because it's not about the player itself, it's about the situation, because when you see other players, other captains, in fact, for Auburn, going out of their way to go on social media on their own to speak about this publicly, to publicly back this player, boy, that seems like a terrible sign for me, Zach. I don't know what you think about it.
Yeah, I do think there is a little bit of context that's needed in this. Demari wanted to do what's best for him, and he felt, and I don't disagree that this is probably best for him. Should a captain be doing it and making this request? I don't know, but he dealt with some stingers in his neck or shoulder earlier in the year, so he missed a few games. His game against Georgia was his 4th game this season. And so he's like, hey, you're not really using the running backs, coach. Could you redshirt me? And so I can keep playing college football after the season. And I think Hugh Freeze reacted as most college football coaches would. Saying no, absolutely not. So I don't think what either of them asked was crazy. Right. I think what set off, and I want to be clear, I think there's a really solid chance if Auburn beats Georgia on Saturday, Demari still makes this request. And so I know optically it looks terrible, but I think this would have happened even if the sky wasn't falling over the plains. But that doesn't matter, right? People don't care. It still doesn't look good. The other aspect of this is I think the players are more upset about what Hugh Freeze said about the situation than the actual response to Demari's request, because at his presser on Monday, he came out and said Demari Austin did not meet, he failed to meet the expectations of the program.
Right.
We're like, well, that sounds way worse.
That sounds a lot different.
That sounds like somebody who's out partying or missing meetings or whatever. And so a lot of the players are responding to a post made by Phillip Dukes, who's pretty well known in the sports media world. He's an Auburn guy, saying Demari never did any of these things. And so it's tell the truth. It's because he asked for a red shirt and you said no.
You're right. That's what I was going to check on. He wanted a red shirt, right?
Yeah. That's certainly the story coming out of it. So it's weird. How much does that impact what's happening this Saturday? I don't know. Off the field, it might. Do people want to do it for Demari? Maybe does it? Is Hugh Freeze losing the locker room? Sure. I mean, that narrative's out there.
That's
as far as on field
stuff.
I don't see the drop off from RB2 to RB3 being that dramatic.
Exactly. Yeah. The running back part of it doesn't interest me that much, and also to your point, I see Hugh Freeze's side of it. I see Demari Austin's side of it, but it's not really about, it doesn't matter what I think, honestly. It matters what the Auburn players think, and it doesn't seem very positive right now. Again, especially when leadership, captain types of players are speaking out about it. That just seems like a bad sign to me. So we'll see. Maybe that's an over-analysis. It's one of those things, hey, let's not over-analyze the mindsets of 18 to 23-year-olds regardless. Yeah. So, I don't want to make too much of it. At the same time, my goodness, this doesn't seem like a great sign, because when you're 0-3 in the SEC and you're Auburn, you just start to wonder, how much do you still have to play for in an era where nobody cares about the AutoZone Liberty Bowl anymore?
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, the college football playoff has changed what expectations should be for sure. For sure. And just to stay on this topic from a football point of view, like I know Missouri has done a good job of rushing the passer, and Demari Austin's strength, while his rushing stats aren't overly impressive this year, he has been by far the best running back in Auburn's backfield in helping in pass protection. Jeremiah Cobb, I think, is a really good running back. I think he's a really solid SEC running back, can do a lot of different things skill set wise. He is not good at blitz pickup. And so I know Missouri is really proud of their pass rushers this year, as they should. They've been incredible. I'm more concerned about that aspect of it than anything else, because Omar Mabson is now going to be RB2. He should be a senior at Auburn High School right now. He reclassed late in February, kind of got on campus this summer. Very, very good, very, very impressive, but you don't typically love freshman running backs being the guy in blitz pickup.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I think that's a really good point. That interests me as well, much more so than the running back implications. But yeah, in pass pro, especially, I think Missouri's got as good of a pass rush duo in Damon Wilson and Zion Young as probably there's been in the league so far. We saw it against Alabama even last week. Wilson really popped on film a couple times at least, had some nice sacks in that ball game. Beat a chip and the right tackle, burned two guys for a sack to get to Ty Simpson at one point in a really big moment. So, yeah, how is Auburn's pass protection just overall?
Yeah, the stats look terrible, John.
A lot of that's on Jackson Arnold.
Some of it's on Jackson Arnold for sure. Some of it's on the play calling, and then some of it's like, they played Oklahoma, and Oklahoma has been unbelievable at rushing the passer. And, Jackson definitely was not ready to return back to Norman and be in that environment. So it's a tricky question with the O-line, because Auburn went out and spent a lot of money in the portal. They got 2 new starting tackles, and there's been some penalty issues with the left tackle as far as staying on sides and all that. That's been a little bit better at home. That's more of an issue on the road. But they're not getting beat, John. It's fascinating. They're not really getting beat in one-on-one situations. When they engage with the defender, they've done a good job of staying in between him and the quarterback. They've done terrible at picking up the right guys. And so there's going to be 4 or 5 plays, or at least there has been so far. And I think with what Mizzou does defensively, there's going to be a few plays this game based off of the track record so far, but there's going to be somebody who's not blocked. And to me, that's more of a coaching thing than it is like a player thing. I mean, clearly they're not executing, but so it's tricky. I think the offensive line's talented and good, but there's going to be plays where they just don't work as a unit correctly.
Right. And I think Missouri has had some of those similar problems at times too. And also, and like you said, if there are free rushers coming, sometimes that's on communication up front. A lot of times it can be on the quarterback too, because you can't account for everybody, especially if you're blitzing 6-7 guys. One of those guys is going to have to be on the quarterback, and you've either got to know, hey, I got to get this out of my hands early and to this spot if this guy comes, or I got to make him miss with my feet, something like that. So, I mean, it really is a whole team effort there, and which is why, to your point, again, maybe Alston being missed there in pass pro could be a big deal.
Yeah, maybe so. Maybe so. What are our thoughts on this line? Does it mean something we're maybe not looking at? Let's dive into that in just a moment, right here on this crossover edition of Locked On Mizzou and Locked On Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at Supply House. John, you love Supply House. I love Supply House. When the opening whistle blows on a new repair, you get your crew moving forward with Supply House. Order today and you can see parts on your doorstep as early as tomorrow. John, over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items for the most trusted brands in the business. That's a lot. That's a lot of parts. That's a lot of parts over at Supply House. Their real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. Join the free Trade Master program today and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and a dedicated support line. Visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free and use promo code SHCollege5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. Today's show also brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. John Miller, right now as we record this, Mizzou a 1.5 point favorite. It's a big shift, 3-point shift early this week. So we'll see
to see how much it does shift, if at all, going forward, for sure.
I don't think it's done. I'm going to be honest.
I don't think it is either.
I don't think it's done moving. But hey, one thing I do know, new customers, you can put $5 down at FanDuel. And if your first $5 bet hits, John, how much money do you win? How much?
$300 in bonus bets, baby.
300 smackaroonies, baby. Let's go. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn and Locked On Mizzou your first listen every single day. For your second listen, go check out the other show. We would appreciate it greatly. You could be the most informed person at your Mizzou watch party or your Auburn tailgate, whatever that may be. We just mentioned in the live read there, but the line, according to our friends at FanDuel, fascinating. Auburn 2.5 point favorite. It was all a collective. What's going on? What in the world? And then Mizzou taking now officially the favorite. I don't know what to do with this. Jordan Hare at night, just talent. How much of it is like eventually Auburn's going to get one of these close games, and it's like just a law of averages thing. Like I don't know. I don't know what to do with this.
Yeah, and you and I were talking off the air just before we hit record about the advanced projections like S&P Plus.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, that follows pretty closely with the Vegas lines. I would say the FanDuel Sportsbook lines. So Missouri's 8th in S&P Plus, Auburn 27th. You know, that would make you think Missouri'd be a little bit more favored than that. I think there's a couple things that could be at play here. Number one, this was made a lot was made of the fact that Missouri didn't leave Columbia for 7 weeks. Well, now we're finally here. Missouri playing its first true road game of the season. The fact of the matter is we've got some data on the season. We have literally zero road data on Missouri so far. How is Bo Pribula going to perform in his first road start ever, by the way? Ever. So
that's crazy.
That's something to think about. It really is. And by the way, Bo Pribula has been really, really good at times this season. He was not very good against Alabama at all. So the question is, was that a bad game? Has the league, the nation, figured out something about Bo Pribula? I can't say for sure right now. In a few weeks, the next 6 games, well, we're going to find out one way or the other. Yeah,
the SEC's been such a week-to-week league so far.
Exactly.
And so, everybody was buying on Missouri, and they play Alabama, and then it's like, okay, well, we all kind of agree Alabama's pretty good. It's like, what does that even mean?
Sure.
Anything. What's the level of concern, both for you and for the Mizzou fan base, about leaving Columbia? Like, is that a big, is there any concern there? Or do you guys think, okay, some people are like making that a little bit dramatic?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think that some people are making maybe too much of it. Just the fact that I think if it were, Missouri had played, its first road game in the last week of September, I don't think people would have made hardly anything of it. I do think that extra couple weeks, now it just seems so deep into the season, it just seems overly dramatic. At the same time, again, we haven't seen it yet. I think it's fair to wonder, especially, as I said, Bo Pribula making his first start ever. I will point out at Penn State on the road at Wisconsin last season, he came in before Drew Aller and injured Drew Aller at halftime, came back and helped win that game for the Nittany Lions. So it's not like he's never played on the road or even never performed pretty well on the road. But yeah, never made a start, especially at a Missouri uniform, coming off definitely his worst game in a Missouri uniform. Hopefully we have a huge bounce back game here from Bo Pribula. If we do, I think Missouri probably gets the job done, but how confident am I in that right now? I wouldn't say overly so, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah, I like both defenses against the opposing offenses in this one. Auburn's defense on average is limiting opposing offenses this year to about 13 points below their season average. And so I think that has Mizzou scoring around like in the high teens, I think is when I looked that up earlier. I looked it up for this conversation. I forgot it. So a lot of good looking it up did. But I think that's kind of where it's at, where like, can Auburn get to 20 points? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if they can against this Mizzou defense. This Missouri defense has been really, really impressive. It's surprised me a little bit because it's not only the pass rush. Like I think y'all are better on the back end than a lot of people expected too.
Well, yeah, there's been some times when Missouri has had some miscommunications and given up some huge plays on the back end, but you didn't really see that against Alabama. I thought the Tigers were much more sound, and really Ty Simpson, he had to earn his yard.
The Missouri Tigers.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just saying, like,
there's a lot of Tigers.
There are too many Tigers, just like there are too many Maroon teams. That's really my bugaboo in the SEC.
I get that.
Honest. Yeah. And they all wear black alternates, except Alabama. I'll give them some credit there.
Yeah, how creative.
Oh no, I gave Alabama
let's all give
credit
Bama
on
credit.
Auburn crossover.
Yeah,
my mistake. That was a huge
That's
mistake on my part. But anyway, the point is Missouri, I thought, was much more sound on the back end against Bama, and really made Ty Simpson made a couple of really excellent throws, in particular one for a touchdown on 3rd and long that was right on the money and had to be, and another on 4th down, same deal. I thought Missouri played pretty well, to your point there in the secondary.
Yeah, and I mean, Missouri has this incredible drive to open the game against Alabama, and then their defense is just like all over them. And then I forgot who it was. It was one of the, maybe number 9.
Zion Young, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And he's like, just such a dumb penalty. And it gave Alabama life. And I think they went down to score.
It was a taunting penalty where he basically just stood over the guy and flexed. And it's,
and it's like, you can't do that. You can't do that.
I mean, it's a
it changed the game.
Yeah, it's a textbook example of that. Yeah, it was going to be 3rd and 15, something like that.
Yeah.
And it was, maybe Alabama picks it up and they still get a touchdown. But to your point, I'd certainly like to hit the reset button at that moment and live in that alternate reality, see what happens.
Yeah. So, I mean, we'll see exactly what that looks like. Who wins? What's at stake? Other matchups that we're interested in seeing, all that coming up right here on this crossover edition of Locked On Mizzou and Locked On Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move, John. They deliver confidence with every ride, more IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus awards than anyone else. I can't imagine anyone having more awards than Mazda. That's what they're saying. From footwork to breathwork, athletes sweat all the details. Mazda brings this same intention to how we craft every model. You make everyday drives feel like anything but, from smooth handling to intuitive controls. Like our players, we sweat every detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. Today's show also brought to you by our friends at Quo. One of the tools that makes a huge difference for business owners is Quo, formerly Open Phone. It's the same great phone system you've heard both of us talk about. They just have a new name. What happens when somebody calls and you're not able to answer?
Usually they're just go on to the next person. Yeah, they're calling somebody else. You don't want to miss that.
And what are you losing?
You're losing that moolah, baby.
You're losing the moolah. Not with Quo. Not with Quo. They understand how important every single phone call is for small business owners. That's why they're the #1 business phone system that streamlines customer communications. It works right through an app on your phone or computer. So no more hauling around 2 phones. No more paying for landlines. Quo has you covered. See why over 90,000 businesses trust Quo, formerly Open Phone. Get started for free. You get 20% off your first 6 months at quo.com/lockedoncollege. That is QUO.com/lockedoncollege. And if you've got an existing number with another service, they'll port them over at no extra charge. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers. Final few minutes of this week's crossover edition of Locked On Auburn, Locked On Mizzou. I'm Zach Blackerby. He is John Miller. Another matchup, and I say this every week for the crossovers, and what eventually it's going to happen is like Cam Coleman and Eric Singleton, the best receiving duo in the SEC when it comes to talent and ability. You cannot convince me otherwise. And it's just they can't get the ball to him. Jackson Arnold refuses. If there is a defender within 5 yards, he's just like, I'm not going to throw it up to you. I'm just not going to do it. I know you could beat him. I'm just not going to do it. The Auburn fan base is just hoping like at some point, Hugh Freeze pulls him aside and is like, we are going to pull you if you do not give them chances. He's begging him. He's publicly begging him to throw these types of passes. And I don't care who you have at DB. Like, I like Cam Coleman and Eric Singleton. I just do. But Jackson can't get it to him. And so, like, is this the game where you see more of that? I don't know. But I'm going to do this every week until it happens, John.
Yeah, that makes sense. Just speak it into existence. I kind of feel a little similarly about the Mizzou outside receivers at times, I should say, just kind of waiting for the Marquise Johnson thing to show up. And he was the most frustrated of any of the receivers. And looking back at the film last week, it was easy to understand why that last interception by Pribula to enter in the game, just famously, he was wide open on the left side.
Okay.
A really bizarre thing where the Alabama corner on the boundary there just immediately comes off of Johnson and runs into the seam as if he knows that's where the ball is going to go. It was really kind of bizarre to watch on film. But anyway, the point here is I'm with you. Similarly, I'm waiting for Missouri to do something on the outside a little bit more too and be a little bit more explosive, because last season fans were complaining about that too with Brady Cook and the Tiger offense a little bit. But this season, it's even actually statistically, the Tigers are taking even fewer shots. Some of that is who they've played. You've got early games that you pound, Louisiana and UMass. Okay, you're just going to run it a lot. Mm-hmm. So some of that's statistical noise, but I don't know. I think Missouri fans are asking a similar question there, I think, at times. Look for Donovan Olubade, the true freshman, to get more action.
Donovan Olubade?
Olubade, yep.
That's a great name. I love that.
It's a good one. And it rolls off the tongue nicely once you learn how to pronounce it.
It does.
It's not Olubade, sure. It's Olubade.
There it is. There it is. Give me your score prediction for this, John.
I'm kind of with you on the low scoring affair. And even though I think the line's a little bit fishy, I'm going to go kind of close to it. And I think it's going to be, for some reason, I'm just envisioning a similar game to, I don't know what the exact final score was off the top of my head, but this week's game with Georgia and Auburn, I'm going to go with Missouri 20, Auburn 17.
Okay. I'm going 2017 as well, but I'm for some reason, John, I've got Auburn winning this game. I don't know. I just don't.
Stranger things have happened in the SEC.
Yeah, there's only so much heartbreak a fan base can go through. There's only so much. And every week I just feel like we've hit it. And we just something else traumatic keeps happening.
Well, somebody's going to be heartbroken then, because the Tigers, if they will lose 2 in a row here, I think if I'll just speak for a lot of Missouri fans, I'll say some are disappointed for sure. I think we win this one. I think you're right back on track, really. But
I would
lose this one 2 in a row. Now you have basically literally no margin for error the rest of the season for the playoff. I think this would be a huge heartbreaking loss for Missouri too, obviously, for different reasons.
Yeah, and like Hugh Freeze knows that there's a solid chance he's fired if Auburn loses. Here's my thing. The Tigers will win this game.
One way or the other, a Tiger is going to take it down.
And the Tigers are going to lose.
One way or the other. There's no ties in college football anymore, folks. So
no, it's so funny though, because you guys, Mizzou came to Auburn a few years ago, and the feeling was like Brian Harsin was going to get let go if Missouri won and Auburn lost that day. And it goes to overtime, and what a bizarre game that was. And then I forgot who it was for Missouri that literally dropped the ball like on the 1 inch line.
Yes.
And so the Brian Harsin era at Auburn got extended a few weeks. So thank you for that.
Nate Pete. There it is. And of course, Harrison Mevis missed the short field goal to send it to overtime as well. Yeah, it was so weird. And there were Missouri fans going, no, we should have tried for the touchdown. I'm going, we have one of the best kickers in the country. He can't make a 29-yard field goal. I don't know.
I forgot about that. Yeah. It's like
so there was that whole
argument
too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was bizarre. That was bizarre. I kind of got a
Well,
feeling
you
this
guys
was gonna
could have
be bizarre,
given it
John.
to us if you wanted. I would have taken it. Believe me, we would have taken it.
Yeah, for sure. That was crazy. I think this one's going to be weird too, in the same vein.
I have a feeling too. The line says it's going to be weird. Auburn is weird. I mean, anything's possible in this one.
Yeah, I think Hugh and Eli are like boys too. So like, what does that mean? Are they going to try to do like fun stuff to like, throw the other one off? Like, what does that even look like? I expect some fun like trick plays in this one for that exact reason.
I think Eli claims to be friends with just about everybody except for Josh Heupel and Dan Mullen. Other than that, he seems pretty friendly with just about everybody.
Yeah, he seems like a nice guy. Seems like a nice guy.
John,
probably
all the SEC fan bases love him. I know that.
Yeah. I'm sure they've played golf together, right? Yeah, maybe.
I hope so.
John,
I know this. Eli. I know
he
is a lot better than Eli, but Eli the better coach. Correlation? I don't know. I'm just telling you from experience.
There's probably a correlation.
Drinkwitz not a great golfer, but I like that. I like that. Coach.
Yeah. How can Auburn folks check out everything you've got going on?
Well, Locked On Mizzou on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you get your pods, and you probably like me in short form, let's be real. So hit me up on TikTok, Instagram, all that stuff. It's easy, at Locked On Mizzou. Branding, let's go.
Yeah, easy as that. And for all the Mizzou folks who want more Auburn coverage for whatever reason, Locked On Auburn's available wherever you consume Locked On Mizzou. For John Miller and Locked On Mizzou, I'm Zach Blackerby of Locked On Auburn, and this has been a crossover edition of our shows brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network.